Hello and welcome to Business Today Television. I am Siddharth Zarabi and we are discussing Air India's massive deal to purchase 470 aircraft with option to purchase another 70, making it one of the biggest ever such deals. But beyond just the numbers, what does it mean for you and me and for India's aviation sector? And joining me now to discuss that very point is Jitendra Bhargava, one of the most well-known experts on Indian aviation, a person who spent a lifetime building Air India. Welcome to BTTV, Mr. Bhargava. To start with, before we get into this, I mean, can you imagine, did you imagine till a few years back that Air India would place such an order? Because, even 10 planes caused so much controversy. And here we are talking about 470 plus 70. Did you ever imagine a few years back that such a day would have come to pass?
Well, certainly not. We were all looking forward that, look, unless the disinvestment takes place, Air India had no future at that time. So one, it vindicates government decision to take the disinvestment process to its logical end, notwithstanding the criticism from within Air India and from the political spectrum. So once the disinvestment has taken place, Tata's got it back, and the kind of statements that were made when Tata's acquired Air India or got control of the airline was that we live up to JRD Tata's dream. We'll give country a world-class airline. So it's only not just the quantity that we are talking about, 470 new aircraft, 70 of them long-haul, 400 narrow-bodied aircraft, but also the quality that will go in. So if you look at the sequence of events that have taken place since January 27, 2022, when they regained control of Air India, to first integrate Vistara with Air India Express with AirAsia India, and then march forward and say, look, we need to expand aggressively. They are as if they are in a hurry, making up for lost time. Then such a huge order at a time when Europe and United States is fearing recession. And this is why President Joe Biden's statement about employment being created in 42 states of the United States just shows the importance of it. And this 470 aircraft is a mega order. And with the hastened pace with which the induction is planned, 6 of the A350 large long-haul aircraft, but in the second half of 2023. So all, if you want to look at it, expansion. You see, Siddharth, we have been for long talking about India as a growing market, emerging as the third largest market. But who were the gainers? It was the Gulf carriers and the Southeast Asian airlines which were taking away our traffic, funneling from different cities in India, taking it to the respective hubs and then flying them to United States and Europe. So it is the first time when we can say that an Indian carrier will really be exploiting the potential that India offers. And with quality assured, because JRD's dream will not be fulfilled if you do not take care of the customer and give a qualitatively superior product.
One of the other points that I wanted to pick up on the significance of the deal is something that you mentioned really. This is how a privatized airline is now making such rapid moves to regain, as you put it, market share and obviously the glory that it was known for. What is the immediate impact going to be for the average Indian flyer? We are talking at a time when airfares are very high and all airlines are choked. Our airports were choked till some time back. What does it mean for the average customer?
You know, on the airfares, we should put the things in right perspective. It's a temporary phenomenon. There's a war going on. The ATF prices are high, very high. So unless airlines break even, how are you going to be ensuring survival? So this is a temporary phenomenon. It will be set right when more capacity is added into the market. But when we really talk in terms of Indian passengers traveling, whether they are India originating traffic or the diaspora staying in Europe and United States. What do? There are certain direct non-stop flights of Air India, which gives them seamless travel. But there are a whole lot of Indians who are either in Houston, they are in Los Angeles, there are many other cities in the United States with this concentration of Indians available. Now, when they come, they either go to on fly Emirates to Dubai or to Etihad Abu Dhabi, or coming from the other coast to Singapore and then coming on to India, because Air India has largely concentrated its arrival departures at Delhi and Mumbai airport, and it's only recently that Bangalore has been added. Now, what happens to passengers who are originating or bound for Chennai, Kolkata, and other cities in the country? So this large expansion that is underway will, in my opinion, will see that the flights are operated between multiple points in India to multiple points in the United States, so people do not really have to travel from point A to B and then to C. And that is where the foreign carriers were coming in.
Two follow-ups to that. One, does it also mean that our airport capacity will have to be further enhanced with this kind of addition? Although in some ways the total number of aircraft that Jet Airways had deployed and other airlines, there is a gap in the capacity that is available. How will
let's
this...
put so that these aircraft are going to be inducted over a period of time. If, as we have witnessed, it was only last month, 2 months ago, that the airport in Bangalore, the second terminal, was inaugurated.
Yes.
Mumbai airport is going to be coming up. So it is not that we are oblivious to the requirements. And the government will work in a coordinated manner that, look, we are going to be adding so much capacity. This is the path that we are be charting. And this is what we need. And the major airports, whether it is Chennai, Kolkata, it is not just the terminal building that we require.
Correct.
It's all facilities of international class. When did we last hear? It's only the last 10 years that we've seen Mumbai and Delhi airport being counted among the best in the world. Immigration, nobody complains about it. Of course, we had this unfortunate thing in December 2022 at Delhi airport and some other airports when people had struggled through the security, etc., which created a bad perception globally, but that's been overcome. And with the Digi, we are coming into the thing as it is in Delhi, Varanasi, and in Bangalore airport, extended to more airports, it will be seamless travel for people. I think the Prime Minister's presence yesterday at the Airbus, when the deal was announced with the Airbus, clearly indicates that he's very much into the picture. He wouldn't like India's image to be marred by anything. He wants the scale of operations is one thing, but he also wants India to be recognized globally as a major aviation power. And I visualize, both from perspective, the President Macron's presence and Joe Biden's statement. It's not just underlining that, look, India has arrived on the global scene, that it will create jobs. It also shows India standing in the global arena now.
I want to dial back on the fares question because this is a pressing concern for a lot of people, especially after the COVID era caps were lifted. It's the question that a lot of people are asking is, how does this get sorted? The fact is that aviation fuel and its prices plus the taxation levy is outside of an airline or an airport operator's capacity to impact. So would it be fair to say that airfares in India need to be controlled through other means rather than just inducting more capacity?
We need to divide the international travel and the domestic travel. International travel, we got to look at from the perspective of the war, the ATF crisis, shortage of capacity, because when COVID came in, a lot of airlines gave VRS to their pilots abroad, and they're finding it difficult to get all the fleet into operation. That's the one part of it. And plus, many of the airlines abroad cannot overfly Russian airspace. That's the first part of it. When you look at domestic, there are two other things that we needed. Number one, it is not just ATF. Dollar and rupee, the rupee depreciation vis-a-vis dollar. most of the prices or the costing of an airline are dollar designated. So it is also having its bearing. And what we overlook, the fact is, we blame the airlines more often than other thing, is the fact that state governments charge sale tax on ATF up to 25% at times. So what my recommendation to media would be that please look up the breakup of the fare that a passenger pays. All of it does not go to the airline. There's a security cost attached, there is airport cost attached, there is a fuel surcharge attached, and various things that gets onto it. And that is what makes it. I'm not disputing for even one moment that the fares are high. So what we witnessed in December as the results of Indigo show, that 15 crores profit per day is what they made in the October-December quarter. But let us not also overlook the fact that in the April-June quarter of 2022, they made a loss of 11 crores per day. Look at the swing of 26 crores per day that Indigo witnessed. And it wasn't that the management had to do anything. It was the pricing of fuel. It was the load factor that they could achieve, 90% plus in December month, vis-a-vis 70-75% in the month of April, May, June. So if more people travel, more capacities in the market, and the attention of the media is not concentrated on airlines alone, but also on the state governments who are greedy, who put 25% sale tax, which is ad valorem. So as the fuel prices go up, their income goes up, and nobody questions them. And airport charges are also going up because of the new airport, the investment that are taking place. But it'll take time to stabilize. But what I would say is very clearly is that growth must be looked at, because if the growth comes in, capacity deployment comes in, the competition is there, the fares stabilize on their own.
By some accounts, the Tata-owned Air India, the deal cost over its entirety is being seen at between 150 to 200 billion dollars. It includes everything, including service, maintenance, and of course there is a deep discount that has also been provided. We don't know the official numbers, but the bigger question is, while the private sector owned Air India is now investing so much money, do you think the airport development in India and the ancillary infrastructure around it, there is enough investment that is going to go in? That question also will be faced. It's like putting more cars on the road, but without the roads being there.
No, I think the airline industry is better placed than the cars. We got to look at the investment in airports taking place, but I quite agree with you. Airlines spend considerable amount of money because MROs do not exist here. So we will need to create infrastructure for maintenance of aircraft. Air India has its own MRO, but not of the scale that it can service other airlines as well. And let's not also overlook the fact Air India Engineering Services Limited is on the government radar for disinvestment. So the faster they do it, it comes out of government control, fresh investment is made, probably that is a body which will give us the basic foundation for creating infrastructure for maintenance of aircraft. And when airlines save money on these kind of activities, there is no reason why the fares will not go down. So, the fares will have to be looked in its totality. What are the airlines' costs? Which are the sectors on which the cost can be reduced? How can the government play in reducing the cost? And what can airlines do in that case? Which airline would not like to fly more passengers? Because India is a price-sensitive market. When fares go up, there is a reduction in number of passengers. And I can, Siddharth, for your benefit, tell you, in January 2020, we were flying 412,000 passengers per day on the domestic sector by flying 3,080 flights a day. In December, we achieved the same number by flying only 2,875 flights per day. So what does it mean for the passenger? Airlines flew 200 flights less, recorded 90% plus load factor, as a consequence of which the fares went up.
Absolutely.
So what a regulatory agency needs to do is because all airlines submit their schedule to the DGCA for approval. Are you flying the number of flights that you have promised? Or are you concentrating on the profitability at the expense of passengers? These are things that need to be looked at.
Absolutely.
That is why I've always advocated that the Ministry of Civil Aviation must have aviation experts.
Absolutely, and that is the need of the hour. Let's turn our focus to the larger challenges for Air India. While it's a big deal, and the Tatas are long-term investors, they have a very long-term vision for most other businesses also. And when they decide to turn around something, even if it takes many years and a lot of money, they stay with it. So in that sense, Air India is in the best possible hands that it could have been. But the challenge is, Mr. Bhargav, for our viewers to understand, you have Boeing aircraft, you have Airbus aircraft. These aircraft are going to be the latest in terms of technology. What does it mean for Air India and the challenge that it will face? Because in the past also this question has come up about its fleet diversity and the challenges that it has put on engineering and many other aspects of the operation.
No, you see, let's take the narrow-bodied aircraft. You've got 190 aircraft ordered from Airbus, and you've got aircraft ordered from Boeing as well. Now, Tatas, in my opinion, Air India will decide the deployment. Maybe a particular kind of narrow-bodied aircraft is good for flying abroad to the Gulf and Southeast Asian countries, like AC-21s particularly, right? But the other aircraft can be deployed for domestic operations. So, let's not overlook or say, look, Tatas have blindly placed orders for aircraft. They do not know how to deploy the aircraft. They would have done their homework with the international expertise that they have in their command. They would have done this homework and got it. And let's not also compare with what Air India used to do in the past when it was government controlled. Let us give credit to the professionalism that Tata has brought to the airline. And I'm sure they would have factored in all these concerns and then got about it. But challenges by no means can be wished away. They are very much there, but they will have a competent team. And they've recruited quite a bit of experts in the last 6 months, and they would do so in the coming years. But the challenges that primarily are common to what most airlines have. What does a passenger need? Good in-flight experience. Now, Tatas have shown it in the past. Vistara is acknowledged one of the better carriers. Singapore Airlines, their partners, with 25.1% equity, will have a role to play in it. Engineering services, as I said very clearly, the permanent solution lies in the disinvestment of Air India Engineering Services Limited. And then you have basically the management which says, I'm going to tap the market. This is where a large number of tourists come to India from, or the large Indian diaspora exists, but they do not have good connectivity. These are very basics of aviation industry. Something that Air India was constrained, could not meet the expectations because of fund constraints, bureaucrats helping the airline, promotional practices, the seniority based rather than merit based, etc. Let's not get into it. But we are talking of a totally different ball game under Tatas.
Absolutely. In fact, it's very clear that this kind of order is unimaginable in the government context, would never have happened, and that's why the wisdom of the decision by the government of India is coming through. What about the challenges for Indigo, currently the market leader? What do you think it will have to do now in the medium term with the Air India challenge shaping up?
Indigo has not looked at the destinations in Europe and United States. Istanbul being the only one recently. They have not looked at Japan, Australia, etc. Concentrated largely on the domestic sector, where they're monopolizing 57-58% market share. Air India had made it known a few months ago that their endeavor will be to have 30% market share of the domestic market. Collectively, Air India, Vistara after integration, and AirAsia India, etc., which is currently at 23-24%. My view is, with a large order and the phased induction of the aircraft, they may probably attain the goal of 30% market share earlier than 5 years that they had budgeted for. targeted. Now, what impact will be? It is not that Indigo lacks experience. They also have aircraft on order. They would try and safeguard their market share. It's the other carriers that we are worried about. The scale of operation that we are talking about is all one is to look and say, where do we go? You see, most countries, if you look up at, you have very big carriers operating on huge network kind of a thing. Then there are niche players who operate in a regional kind of environment. Are we heading in that direction? People who would have visualized 2 years ago their fleet expansion plans when Air India was government owned will have to do a rethink in the light of disinvestment and Tata's huge order. That can we still foresee a market share of X percentage with fleet expansion plan 2 years ago? So it's a dynamic situation that we are looking at. But my concern as an ex-Air India is the good of Air India. And I'm wishing them well, and I'm very proud of it.
Absolutely. It's a proud moment for not just people in the aviation industry, but just for the sheer fact of the size of the ambition and what it could do to transform the availability of better connectivity, especially on the long haul international routes where a lot of Indians have to unnecessarily stop over, spend many more hours, and obviously pay much more, spend much more on the entire journey, including at the stopover. And that would change with the new planes that are going to be deployed on long haul, non-stop flights, among so many others. Mr. Bhargava, thank you very much for taking out the time and explaining in such detail the impact of this mammoth deal for planes that Air India has ordered. If you've been, thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.